8 years ago, I got married. 5 years ago, I started a company. 2 years ago, I became a dad. And each of these things really informs what I do. All of us have inevitably been asked that question, what do you do? And for me, it's a little bit difficult to answer, not because I couldn't give you a job title and the name of a company, but because there are so many more things about me, and there are so many more things about you than what you do to earn a living. What you do to get a paycheck, to pay for the things you need, and a lot of the things that you want. And so as I began to become an adult, as I began to grow this company, inevitably I would meet people. Folks would hear about me and want to meet, particularly in 2008. As the recession began to hit, as people were losing jobs, they wanted just to hear my story, to talk about what I was able to do. And so I would listen to theirs too, and they would tell me how they worked this job and they hated it. And so now they were looking for work, and I asked them, well, what is it that you want to do? They would say, well, I guess I could go back and do the thing I was doing if somebody else would let me. And I pushed them further. I said, no, what is it that excites you? What are you passionate about? What are your big dreams? And they would tell me, and then I would say, why don't you go do that? Now, not all of us need to or can create companies, need to become entrepreneurs. Some of us, our passions need to stay hobbies. There are things that perhaps we need to do or want to do for a few hours each weekend or a week during the summer. But for those of us who are able, those of us who it makes sense to build a life and a livelihood around our passions, I believe that lots of things should not stand in our way. And so as I met these people, I began to think, you know what, really, then, the world just needs more passionate people. That's the difference. People need to be passionate, but as I spoke with these people, I realized that wasn't just the case. They had passions. The world was full of passionate people. Really, then, the difference, what needed to happen, was that the world needed more people who were living out their passions. That was the key difference. We've all got passions, we all have dreams, we all have things we want to do, the kind of people we want to be, but there's so few of us who are able to start living out that passion. But I believe the world needs this. The world, I need you to live out your passion, to do something you deeply care about. Because you know the difference between something you have to do and something you really want to do. The things that you want to do, whether you get paid or not, are things that you do great. You are fantastic at those things. And when you create a product, or when you're happier, it makes all of us better. It makes this world a better place. And so that's why I think the world, all of us, need you to be doing something you're passionate about. But there's so few of us who are then able to actually live out that passion. And as I would ask people, well, what is stopping you from taking that step? Every time I was sad when it boiled down to $1,000, $500, a week's worth of time. That these hurdles that they thought were so insurmountable actually weren't at all. But for all of us, I think what stands in the way from living out our passions is the own stuff, our own clutter, our own excuses, relationships, so many things that we put in the way. And that's why today I want to spread this idea of a revolution of less. A lot of times in revolutions we talk about more people lined up, doing more things to bring about some sort of change. But when it comes to us as individuals, in order to bring about a revolution, perhaps where we're living out this passion, what I think we need is a revolution of less. Fewer things in our lives, fewer obstacles, fewer stuff, fewer excuses, fewer relationships that aren't adding value. We need fewer things. But for some reason, whether it's because the way our world works, we can't seem to get those things out of the way. And so the idea I want to share today is this. It's time for us to begin sacrificing what can be sold so that we can finally earn what can't be bought. And now sometimes when I talk about some amount of money is standing in between you and your dream, I'm willing to bet that if you went home and looked in your den or your kitchen or a walk-in closet or a storage unit, we could find the things that could easily be sacrificed to earn the very thing that we just can't go buy off a shelf somewhere else. The opportunity to chase down our dreams. But again, so much stuff, so much clutter seems to invade our lives. I mean, if you watch TV, there's this TV show out there, I'm not going to name it, but on it, people are hunting for houses, okay? And so these house hunters, we'll call them, they all want the same thing. We know it. They want open floor plans. They want plenty of room to entertain, which if we're honest, we're like, look, you're going to entertain like twice. Really, what you should be looking for is a place to put your couch, and how far is that from the fridge? Because that's where we're going to spend about 75% of our time. I mean, our friends may come over like a few times, but I don't need that big deck like I think I do. But the third thing they all want, lots of storage. We want walk-in closets galore. Open up the paper. Look at a real estate ad. You'll see the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, and then you'll see how big the basement is. It's an unfinished attic. It's really close to the storage units across the street. And that's what we're buying now. That over the last 40 years, our household size, the number of people in our families, has actually shrunk. But the footprint of our house has actually grown. And so we're not putting more people in our houses. Really, we're just buying stuff to house, not people that we love. I mean, sure, they can stay there too. But really, I need places to put my junk, stuff, crap, and things. Like, that's what I need because this has to go somewhere. So that's what I'm looking for. And so it's tough to move. That if our dream were to call us to move to a different state, or to go halfway around the world, maybe even just to go in the next city, we sort of would say, well, I mean, I got a lot of crap I'm going to have to pack, and maybe my dream can wait. That's a dangerous mistake to make, because I found that our dreams, that our passions don't wait for us. They're not like a prom date who shows up and is going to speak awkwardly with our dad for 15 minutes while our mom's finishing our hair. They leave. Our passion, our dream, when it comes knocking, when that opportunity presents itself, we have to be ready. And so we need to free ourselves of the things that stand in our way. But not just the material stuff, but the excuses too. The lies that we tell ourselves about our own abilities. The relationships that don't seem to be providing value. Those need to go too. And we need to begin to be nimble enough, to be free enough to finally chase down what matters most to us. The way that we really wish we could define ourselves. And so I think there are 3 simple steps that help us begin to understand here's what we get rid of, and then here's what we keep. And the first one that we have to understand is that better replaces good. I'm willing to bet that the first cell phone you ever owned was good. It made calls. Remember back a long time ago when cell phones only made calls? It was good. But now the cell phone you have in your pocket is better. And so why do you still have that good cell phone? Now look, I understand that maybe when the zombie apocalypse happens, because we all know zombies prefer analog over digital. So maybe then your original phone that only called can be of use again. But chances are you're not going to need it anymore. Better relationships, better opportunities, better jobs, better resources, better tools. When we get those in our lives, then the good can go. Perhaps you've heard that good is the enemy of better. That sometimes we're just satisfied, but always seeking improvement and upgrades will free us to let go of what used to work and we no longer have a need for. The other thing that it's important to remember as we seek to edit our lives is to find the right balance. And I'm not here to define what work-life balance might mean for you, but this idea that we need to be balanced in life. But balance for me isn't, I don't like the metaphor of a scale, where as much as on this side equals as much as on this side. To me, that's too static. Life doesn't work like that. Life is always in motion. It's moving forward. It's like when I first watched my daughter learn to walk. And the image that I still remember up in her room is as she, on these short, stubby legs, is trying to figure out how to put one foot in front of the other and to transfer weight. It wasn't that her legs weren't strong enough. She had kicked me in the stomach far too many times while changing diapers that I knew she had the muscle. It was her figuring out how to balance while moving forward. And if we're going to run down our dreams and build a life centered around a passion, it's not done while standing still, but it's done while chasing down that vision for ourselves. And so when things start to weigh us down and we can't move forward, those are the very things that it's time to relinquish, the things that we have to drop so we can stay moving forward. It's much like a gymnast on a balance beam. Nothing is ever symmetrical. But as that gymnast runs and flips and jumps everything is done in an effort to still be in motion, but to stay balanced. And that's ultimately what we need in our lives. And the third way that we get rid of what doesn't matter so that we can really chase down what does is to ask for help. I think this is something that we too easily forget as adults. Watching my daughter try to do a puzzle or put blocks together, she tries. And when she can't get it, she looks at either me or her mom and holds up the puzzle piece or the block. And in her way, she looks at us and just says, eh? And I know what that means. You may not. But I know that what she's asking is, Dad, I've tried my hardest to fit this puzzle piece in this slot that seems available, or I've really tried to connect one block to the other, but I can't seem to be able to do it. Now, certainly, Dad, you have much more puzzle experience or block experience than I, so please show me the way. She's brilliant, by the way, if you haven't caught on. And I don't know what it is about us as adults, where we get in a room of smart people, where we meet others, where we find mentors, but still we can't seem to bring ourselves to look somebody else in the eye and say, huh? Knowing that the help that we need might be right in front of us. But asking for that help, doing that thing together, allows us, gives us the insights, the smarts, and the opportunity to chase down that passion. So it's not just that the world needs more passionate people, but we have to live it out. And I think this is how we do it, is that we remember that anything that can be sold should be sacrificed to earn the very thing that we could never buy. And I think that happens best when we do it together, because just like I need you, the world needs you to live out your passion, we're going to do that together, because when we work together, things are better. I've co-created 2 companies and a daughter, and each time the creation process was better because someone else was there. And it's true of us as we seek to build the opportunities and the systems needed, not just to have a passion, but to live it out. So the idea I want to spread today is I hope that we can begin sacrificing so that we can earn what matters together. Thank you.